Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. So I am officially at the very end of a very long YouTube series I've been working on for over a year called How I Met Katie. Katie is my future wife. We are getting married on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. Speaking of which, with me now coming to the very end of the series, I figured you guys should now know the engagement trip portion of the channel, or the series, I should say. So, basically, back in last November, Katie's parents came up with or took us to, or had us meet them, I should say, in Western North Carolina. Now, I'm going to spare you the details on how hard it was to get the time off, but more or less, when it did happen, we got in Katie's car and we drove down to Bucky's, got some gas, and, did our usual, and then we stopped at a Pizza Inn in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we kept going on from there until we got to this one area, and then the GPS did something really weird, and it rerouted us the long ways around, and then it has basically backtrack towards where our cabin was, which was in Little Switzerland. Now, the reason why I can share this is because this cabin is in a public area. So, no, we did not go to Switzerland. We went to Little Switzerland, which is still in North Carolina, and we had the hardest time finding where we had to go. I had a good feeling at one point where I saw a road that said private drive. That's where we had to go. So Katie and I had a bit of an argument, but at the end of the day, we found where we had to go. So we started going down the road. Oh, keep in mind, we are about 3,000 feet up, and it was pitch black out when we got there. So, it makes sense. And you know why it was so hard to find it. So we found this cabin, and honestly, when I first saw the cabin, I was kind of disappointed because, I'm looking at it from the outside of it, and I loved how high up we were, and I loved the view from outside the cabin, but the cabin itself did not look that great from the outside when I first saw it. So we go inside, and all of a sudden my perspective completely changed. And keep in mind, I did YouTube the entire thing, so you can actually go back and look and see what this cabin looks like on YouTube. But for those of you who do not wish to do that or just want to hear my description, here we go. You basically walk into the kitchen, as weird as it is, and it was kind of an interesting kitchen. It was a long hallway, and it kind of went around. They had a coffee pot, a stove, a microwave, refrigerator, plenty of cabinet space, and they had the Wi-Fi password throughout the entire cabin, just in case you missed it, upstairs and downstairs. So, um, that was on the right, and then on the left you had what Katie claimed as her bedroom, and then halfway down you had the upstairs bathroom, and then even further down you had the room that Dan and Jenny, my in-laws, decided to stay in. So, yeah, that was kind of nice. And if you exited their room, if you were to keep going straight ahead from their room, you would come into the family room. So the family room was really nice. It had a small little TV in it, and had plenty of places to sit down. And there was a door that led to the balcony, or to their. It's hard to describe. It was kind of like an area where you could go. It was like a deck of some sort. So you would basically go out, and you could see out into the pitch black darkness. Now in the morning, obviously, you could see the mountains, but when I first saw it, I was like, "Wow, it's so dark." They had a barbecue, and I saw they had one of those big chairs that you could sit on and take photos with. So I thought that was kind of cute. and they had a fenced-in area around the area, so at least you knew you were somewhat safe. Plus, being up so high. So I decided to go downstairs. So there was a stairwell that took you down. Of course, there was a portion of the wall where I had to keep ducking my head because I would keep going whack every time if I weren't careful. And if you immediately took a right at the bottom of the stairs, there was the washing machine and dryer, which were complimentary for us to use. They had a secondary kitchen, which I thought was kind of interesting, just did not have a stove, but it did at least have a microwave, and it did have a refrigerator and a freezer, and which of course we had upstairs too. And then if you took a left from the stairs, you came into their second family room, which, in my opinion, was far better than what they had upstairs because it had a really nice couch, and then they had another area where you could like store bikes and whatnot just on the other side of the wall, and then they had a bedroom, a like a master bedroom, so to speak, without the attachment of the bathroom, and it had a queen bed in it. It had a couple of windows that were higher up than the actual bed, that allowed light to shine into the room. And then outside of the room, there was, of course, another bathroom. And then next to that was the kids' room in case you had brought kids with you. And of course, we were the only ones in there. So I decided to go ahead and close up the room and lock it up since there was no reason for us to use it. But I did keep my room available since I knew that I was going to be staying in there. So yeah, I was very impressed. So that was more or less like what the cabin was like. So then I came back upstairs, and my in-laws decided to bless me with my late birthday present, my 30th birthday present slash my early Christmas present. So they gave me a box, and I opened it up, and it was a brand new set of AirPods. Now, originally, Katie had accidentally lost a pair of her AirPods, and they had bought her a replacement pair, and then literally within a week, I had found them at the Creation Museum, and I told them to forget about it, but they had already purchased it. The funny thing is, they kept the box, and they sent it down to me, or sent it up to me, I should say, and when I first got the box, there was nothing in it. I was like, okay, there's an AirPod box, but there's no AirPods in here. So they felt bad because they wanted to give me Katie's AirPods that they had bought for her to replace hers. And I was not expecting them to go out and buy me brand new AirPods at all. And those things are very expensive. So I was very much in shock when I first opened it. I was like, oh my word, that kind of thing. So that's kind of what we did on our very first night. Eventually, I did go to bed. I did stay up and I did watch Sing 2 for a little bit, but after that, I crashed and burned. I woke up the next morning. Our normal ritual in the mornings were to more or less wake up, have coffee, which of course they have one of those standard coffee pots, as well as a Keurig. And we decided just to go ahead and use the coffee pot since they make their own coffee at home anyway. And each of us took turns making coffee every morning. And then Katie and her parents took turns making breakfast. I just participated in eating it because that's what I do best. So, I did forget to mention they had a big map, which I did feature on my YouTube channel almost a year, well, last November, I should say. And it was a map of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and I thought that was really neat that they had that. And that was basically a big scenic route that you could take around Western North Carolina. So on our very first day, we stopped for coffee I don't remember where, but I think it was somewhere in the area. And then Katie really wanted to go down to some hatchery that she had discovered because of a tour bus group that came in. Now, here's the story behind this. This is really interesting. So, we took a dirt side road all the way down there, and of course, there's signs all over the road that says no trespassing. So, I'm getting nervous, and of course, we just kept on going anyway, and I'm just like, okay then. And it was one of those like very narrow roads that looked like it was only big enough for one car to get through, but if you pushed it, you could get two cars through. And we finally got to the very end of it, and we came to an area where there was like a wide open gate, and the road said restricted access only. And we're just like, okay, now what? So we parked the car over in a parking lot nearby, and we started like walking around, like, okay, now what do we do? And we came up with the idea of going to nearby neighboring houses and asking them like where we should go to get to this fish hatchery because we knew it was further down. And I came up with the idea of, oh, I don't remember who was, but, oh, anyway, let me start over. So there was either me or somebody came up with the idea of just walking and asking the nearby neighboring houses. Katie came with me, and Katie just proceeds to wait at the bottom of the house, of the stairs. And then I'm like, "What? What's wrong?" She goes, "I just don't like walking up to the door." And I said to Katie, "Well, don't worry. When I knock and I hear a gun cock behind the door, I'll just make a run for it." So I knocked at least 3 times. Nothing happened. I was like, well, I guess we have nothing to worry about. So we just kept waiting around, like, okay, what's going to happen? This car just started coming towards us. So I was like, well, why don't we ask this person coming towards us? So we stopped them. She was actually very polite. And as soon as Katie mentioned, oh, your group came to visit us at the Creation Museum, she immediately recognized Katie. I literally could have passed out from shock. I could not believe that she recognized her. And then she turned around and said, "Oh yeah, go ahead and go down the road." And I was like, "What?" So I was like, "Okay, well, I'm thinking to myself at this point, if we get arrested, it's on her." So we got in the car and we continued on, and we finally came to where this fish hatchery was. Still, once again, I don't know what to do, and we're in this area where it looks like it's like only authorized personnel only. It is obviously the fish hatchery. It's not the main guest area, but it is, part of the whole experience. And my father-in-law proceeds to just walk up to an authorized personnel door only. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my word, something bad's gonna happen. But he's like, I'm Mr. Adventurous. I'm just gonna go for it. And as soon as and Katie decided to go with him, if I remember correctly. So he went up and mentioned that he knew who they were and mentioned the whole Creation Museum, and we got an immediate invite. So they gave us a 1 hour or so behind the scenes tour of the fish hatchery, and they were extremely accommodating. They were extremely polite. They even let us take pictures in their area. If I really wanted to, I could have asked them if I could YouTube, and they would have more than likely said yes. I was very impressed by how kind they were. They were Christian. I was like, wow. Never, ever would have expected anything like that. And then, of course, it took us forever to get back, and then, of course, by this point, it's getting on to lunchtime, so they were like, okay, what do we do for lunch? And I saw an advertisement for a barbecue restaurant, so I was like, well, let's eat here. Sorry, my voice. And we stopped and we had lunch, and of course, like any North Carolina barbecue restaurant, they're gonna have free hush puppies. What else is new? So, because it's a staple in North Carolina, so we stopped and we had lunch, and then we had to go to Walmart to get some stuff for the cabin. But yeah, that was more or less what we did on our very first day. So our second day, more or less, we were originally going to go out to Grandfather Mountain, but with the weather as bad as it was, we decided to just stay in Asheville. So this I did another YouTube video basically called Exploring Western North Carolina. So if you guys want to see what I did, then you can go back and watch that. So we got once again back in the car and we drove down to Asheville, North Carolina, and we walked around the Asheville Mall. It was, very impressive. The main point of us going down there was to go find Katie a quilt for her bed and get rid of the old one. So once again, spare you guys the details. I'm going to just go and summarize the entire thing. So we drove out there and we did some, looking around. Of course, it's getting on to Christmas time, so Christmas was in the air in Western North Carolina. And get this, we bumped into two of Katie's friends that were tour bus drivers or whatever for Diamond Tours, and we got a chance to talk to them for 15 minutes too. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then afterwards, we needed to stop at Whole Foods for something for Katie, and Katie and I had a bit of a fight at the Asheville Mall, and we ended up being upset with each other for the rest of the day. And that was the last time we've honestly had a really bad fight. And this is another reason why I don't like fighting with Katie, because I can see what she's like. So we went to Whole Foods, and I felt like I needed to avoid Katie for the rest of the day, because anytime I upset her, I feel like the only way to fix the situation, just because of my autism, unfortunately, is to just avoid her at all costs. And she hates that. She feels like the only way to fix it is to be together and talk it out. So it's funny how the two of us think. So, we went down to Best Buy afterwards, and Katie's mom made us sit there and talk things and not argue. I mean, she had every right to say that. But get this, things did get better. We end up going from there to a well known place in Asheville. If you guys know Asheville, North Carolina, then you'll know the uh, big place to go and visit out in Asheville, North Carolina. And that is um, the trying to remember what it's called now. Let me actually Google search that. I know what it is. That is the Biltmore Estate. So we didn't actually go into the actual Biltmore Estate as we came right when they closed, but we did go to their gift shop, and of course the entire place was decorated for Christmas. I was very impressed, and that is actually the very end of my vlog. So if you want to go and actually see what Biltmore Estate looks like during Christmas, I have two places that you can check out. You can either go to facebook.com/the Theme Park Evangelist, scroll all the way back to November of 2023, or watch my Exploring Western North Carolina vlog, and then you can go and see for yourself. So, anyway, we got done with that. We ended up going back to the cabin shortly after. And of course, like we did almost every single day, we stopped and had not just coffee. We didn't just have coffee at the cabin. We had coffee out in public. Like, I think the neatest place that we went to so far was in downtown Marion, North Carolina. We went to a place where they actually made their own coffee, and it got really hot during the summer months. So the next day was, of course, the day before Thanksgiving, and then Katie was like even more determined by this point to go to Grandfather Mountain, and they basically changed plans on us at the last minute, which was fine. I mean, it is what it is. So, um, to make a long story short, we end up stopping at a coffee shop that was over by our cabin. I mean, it wasn't the best coffee shop. Don't get me wrong. The one we did the day before on the Tuesday was far better, but the other one wasn't bad. I mean, my father and mother-in-law were very generous, and they bought me coffee almost every day, let alone made it for me or taught me how to make it, since I really don't know. I'm so embarrassed. But after that, we did something very unusual. It was a very cold day. I was very shocked how cold it was. And we took a drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and I got some really good pictures. Once again, facebook.com/the Theme Park Evangelist, or watch my driving along the Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway, and you can actually go and see what everything looked like my entire experience and everything. So I did go ahead and I did vlog that day as well. I vlogged almost every single day while I was over there. There was a lot to see, and we finally got to our main destination, and of course by this point almost everybody had used the restroom, and due to how cold it was, like it was snowing by the time we got to where we were. When originally, I would say we dropped 30 degrees just by going to the top of the Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway, which is the second highest point in western North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, if not the highest. And it was so cold and so many things were closed due to weather that we ended up getting back in the car, and then we ended up going back down to downtown Marion, North Carolina. So we end up going to this seafood restaurant, and I end up having octopus for my very first time. I was very impressed, but let's just say my stomach didn't agree with me afterwards. And while I was dealing with that, I actually got a very interesting phone call from TJ saying that his grandmother had just passed away. I was very depressed to hear that. And it was especially right the day before Thanksgiving, it was not something I wanted to hear at all. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed um, walking around downtown Marion, North Carolina, and I did do some more YouTubing out there as well. And we got to go into some interesting gift shops, and once again, it was all decorated for Christmas again. And we even went into one of those places where they blow glass. I thought that was also really neat as well. And then, of course, we went back to the cabin. So, Thanksgiving Day, of course, was the big day. And this was finally the day I decided, let's just go ahead and get engaged today. So, we all woke up at the usual time. And originally, we were not dressed properly. And it was actually my father and mother-in-law that came up with the idea of Katie and I dressing up. And they dressed up as well. So, most engagements are unplanned. Ours was planned. It took us 2 hours, no joke, just to get everything ready. I ended up doing it right there on the balcony. Once again, I put the entire engagement proposal on YouTube just for your enjoyment, so you can actually go back and watch me propose to my girlfriend. Or I think if I remember correctly, I either called it proposing to my girlfriend in Western North Carolina or proposing to Katie in North Carolina. And more or less, we when we finally got everything ready, and I did post the pictures by the way on facebook.com/the Theme Park Evangelist last November. You can actually see the mountains in the background. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was such a perfect day for the engagement, and it was one of the best days of my life. I was so happy. I'm like, yes, I'm finally officially engaged to this woman. Now we can look forward to the wedding from here. So I knew it was just uphill. And to literally go from only just knowing her as an acquaintance, not even, let's say, 2 years prior, to now she is my best friend forever and my future wife. I was just like, wow. I mean, for me, that was a huge deal. And that's why it was also one of the best days of my life. So, I mean, I'm going to elaborate more about that at the end. So, me, Katie, and her mom went to Dollar General and we got some last minute groceries. And her father in law made his standing rib roast. And we had Thanksgiving right there in the cabin. I've never had Thanksgiving with anybody else in my life up until last November, which made it even more special. So, first of all, I had it in a cabin, 3,000 feet up in the air. Secondly, I had it with my other side of the family. Thirdly, I had it with Katie. Fourthly, I had something different than turkey for a change. And then, last but not least, I had just gotten engaged that morning. I mean, how much better could you get? So, yes, that was one of the best days of my life. It really was. And, we ended up going to bed early, and the next morning, of course, was Black Friday, so we finally drove out to Grandfather Mountain, and we got relatively close when we sat in a 30-minute car pileup, but at the end of the day, it was worth it. Yes, I did YouTube this as well. So, Grandfather Mountain is literally on the opposite side of a thing called the Mile High Bridge, and it literally is a mile high. And I actually YouTubed the entire thing. If I remember correctly, I titled the vlog "I Survived Going Across the Mile High Bridge in Western North Carolina," but don't quote me on that. Oh, that's Katie now. Hang on. Well, Katie and I just got off the phone because guess what? Can you see her? There you go. Hold on 1 second. Tux is getting Katie upset. That's my mom's cat. And sometimes it's Katie's cat too. When he doesn't make Katie fall down the stairs. Yes, Katie fell down the stairs yesterday here. Katie was walking down the stairs. I don't remember what the reason was, and I guess. Oh, what was for dinner? That was right for me. But as far as the Tux just now, Katie put down a shirt on the recliner, and the Tux decided, let's just lay down on it. Dumb cat. So anyway, one thing I forgot to mention earlier, because I got the call, but it would be funnier if Katie right here. So, I was absolutely terrified of going across the Mile High Bridge. I was literally like, and Katie had to literally hold my hand and get me across.
I had to drag him across.
Basically, yes. And the second time when I was coming back is, let's just say something happened earlier between me and her mother, and I think her father as well, that I'm not going to mention. But, I got so focused on talking to her mother that Katie goes, don't look down, but you just walked across the bridge without noticing, and I'm like, wait, what? So that was amusing. But, I was starting to get a headache when we first got there because of the elevation. And on top of that, I hadn't really eaten properly. I mean, don't get me wrong, Katie, like I mentioned earlier, and her parents were cooking breakfast every morning, but I was already starting to get hungry. And between the hunger and elevation sickness, which I'm not used to, I had the worst migraine and nausea. And I ended up sleeping all the way back to the cabin. But I get to wake up to pasta, whatever, later. There's Katie now. For dinner that night. So that's kind of nice. And at one point that week, they tried to introduce me to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and I decided to go pity party downstairs.
Yep.
What are you gonna do with me, right? So, as far as a conclusion to this whole YouTube series, because the next day we left to head back to northern Kentucky. Like, well, not we didn't officially go back, but we started to when we had our post engagement trip in Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which you can also watch on my YouTube channel as well, and my Tennessee vlog. So, like, how can I conclude, like, how this our relationship is now? So, like I was mentioning earlier, when I first met her about 2.5, 3 years ago, she was just an acquaintance. Like, what? She wants me to pause it. You have to forgive Katie. Katie's a little hungry right now, so she's in the middle of being snacky. And I had a good-sized breakfast at 10 a.m., so I'm still digesting breakfast. I had raisin bran this morning. I was a good boy. But anyway, as far as, like, like I was mentioning, Katie and I, we were just acquaintances back then. I first met her at the Ark Encounter in August of 2021, and at first at the time I thought she was just super attractive. I'm trying to use G-rated content here, so I'm not gonna say what I was actually thinking, but I was just like, wow, who's this new girl? And then I found out she was from Eastern North Carolina, and I was very attracted to her. So a few months later, down the road, I had her visit me at my register getting a snack and a drink, and I asked her if I could get her phone number for me, and she got like this, more or less, and then she goes, "I don't give out my phone number to people unless it's for emergencies." That was her way of going, like, I'm interested in you, but not like that. And the very first time I really ever, so to speak, hung out with her outside of work was Wednesday, December 1st, 2021. And I still talk about this, and she probably gets a little annoyed by the fact that she was talking about her phone dying when she was close by to me, so my microphone picked up her voice. But I didn't realize I subconsciously said, "Yeah, my phone battery's dying too." Just goes to show that I was really attracted to her, and it really wasn't until the following year in March or April that she started showing the same mutual feelings and back. And when I first went out with her, I didn't know that we were going to be boyfriend girlfriend. I mean, at that time we were just friends, and we were going out to a super nice sit down Italian restaurant. And I'm in t-shirt and jean shorts. She's in t-shirt and jean pants, and we're like, okay, this is awkward. I mean, we just got together not even a few hours ago, and here we are sitting in a nice restaurant. But now we go everywhere together, grocery store, and she's definitely my closest friend. Super excited to marry her next August, not this August, but next August. Something from Build-A-Bear. How cute.
No, it's a groom.
Oh, groom and plush. Nice. Katie loves Build-A-Bear, if you didn't know. And I'm really excited about just spending the rest of my life with her. I couldn't think about anybody better to spend the rest of my life with than her. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this super long 1 year plus YouTube series called How I Met Katie. And now you guys know how we went from being acquaintances to best friends forever and future partners. So The next time you see us together, if you watch the YouTube series from beginning to end, now you'll know how strong our relationship actually is, and how we've managed to overcome all kinds of things, whether it was fights, arguments, disagreements. How Katie has really been there for me, including when I was going through depression. I really feel like God sent her to me for a reason. So always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.